Tea Quilters. Today is Wednesday, May 15, 2019. It's 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're watching this at any other time, just know that you are watching a live upload. So I am in the room. I just created the live session. So I just decided to come on and go live, and it is probably about 3 minutes early. So I am just going to wait for other people to come into the room. And I even forgot to get my cell phone. I don't even know where it is. Let me go see. It's been one of the longest weeks of my life. So I gotta find YouTube. Hi, I'm trying to get to my phone so I can read your comments. Let's see. Okay. Thanks for letting me know about the noise. I have a little fan that's right by my computer, and so you were probably hearing it. I know when I have this fan on, it doesn't really bother you as much. So I'll start with this one on low for right now. So let me know if it's okay. I don't know why it's so bright behind me. Oh gosh. Okay, so thank you, Cheryl, for that. Cheryl's here. Win Sprinter says hello from Maryland. T and everyone. Hi, welcome. June Hanson says hi, Miss T and everyone. Hi, June. Claudette Bettis is here. She's saying hi from Anaheim, California. And Cheryl also saying hi to her quilt family. And we've got Teresa Davis in here. She says hi, T and everyone. Hi, Teresa. Deborah Williams says, great evening. Nice to see you here from South California. Hi, Deborah. Tracy Davis is here saying hello to everyone. Hi, Tracy. Cheryl said, yes, it's shut off and now you are clear like normal. I forget sometimes. I got one of those little fans that, let me see if I can show it to you without causing a ruckus because it's plugged in somewhere. It's one of these little fans, and I sit it by my desk. So this fan is loud, and every time I record, whatever I'm recording, that fan will pick it up. So I have to bring in a different fan. I think both of these came from Walmart. This one is called Comfort Zone, and it has 2 settings. It's pretty cool. And I actually have 2 of these. It's a little bitty fan, but it's mighty powerful. And it has a second speed. It goes up a little higher. So I like that. And then you can also adjust where this one goes, whether it's up or down. So I like that. Just thought I'd share that. They're cheap. Well, they're inexpensive. I'm sure they didn't cost much money. I can't remember what they cost right now. But I'm going to cut that one on high. I'm always hot. Patricia Statham is here. She says, hey T, good to see you. Hi Patricia. Margaret Knox is here, says hi from Texas. Elsie says hello from South Carolina. Missed you last week. What happened last week? I had a lecture last week with the Quilters Anonymous Guild. And I'm blocking which county it was in Illinois right now, but I had posted it on in my Teaquilts group. I did the Things That Disappear lecture. So that's where I was last Wednesday. Cherise says hello to everyone. Hi, Cherise. And Patricia says she's from Atlanta, Georgia. Sue Lee says, hi, Miss T. Met you in Jacksonville recently. That's where I went. Thank you, Sue. Francesca is here. She says, hello, T and everyone. Christine says, hi, T. Hi, Christine. Got Deborah Williams says, do those blue fans come in purple? I don't know if they come in purple, but I have a blue one and I also have a black and white one. So I don't know about purple though. And like I said, they came from Walmart. I just happened to be in the store and saw them on the shelves. I actually purchased this blue one maybe last year or the year before, and then I purchased the black one this year. Elena D is here. She says, hello, T and everyone. Hi, Elena. And Patricia Whipple is here. She says, hi, T and everyone. And then Sue said it was Morgan County. It was great. So thank you, Sue. It's been a week. So I did the lecture last week. We got Eric here. Hi, Eric. He's in Cali. And so, I lost my, I don't know what I just hit on my phone to take off my live chats. I think I got it back. But had a good lecture. Thursday I did a lot of desk work, edited a video, got up one of the quilt show videos. Took me 2 days to get that video to upload, so that was something. And then I had Friday, got up early so I could go out and do some errands. Got to the post office, everything was fine, left the post office, and then my car battery light flashed. And then it went off, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe everything's fine. Maybe I need to just go get off the highway so that I can restart my car, right? I didn't make it off because as I was getting over to get off the highway, I felt like my steering was not in full power. Like it was running, but I didn't have full control of the car. So I got off the highway, turned around, and went back home. And just decided to wait till my husband come home. And he looked at the battery to make sure it wasn't the battery that I had recently purchased 2 months ago. So it was actually the alternator. So we take it to the shop Friday, and I'm just going to drop it off for whenever they get a chance to look at it. And so then I decide I'll let my husband see these used Ford Explorers I've been looking at, because I've been wanting him to see it. And the used ones are in really good condition. Then you don't have to pay full price for it. Well, I had found one that I really liked, and then I started asking them, okay, now what would this one cost? And by the time they got through with the cost of that, because it was a used car, you have a higher interest rate, it was cheaper for me to get a new car. So I decided to go ahead, even though my car was in the shop, I was getting my car fixed, and I'm going to go ahead and get a new car. I don't know what they're going to give me on trade-in or anything like that, so I decided to go ahead and get the new car. I was going to keep my car because I could use it to ride around in. And then I had a family member that wanted to purchase it. So I'm actually selling my car, my Mariner, which has the Mariner quilt that goes with it. So I do have like a series of 3 videos of when I was actually making the Mariner quilt. But yeah, so it's kind of a good thing and it's a sad thing. So I have been spending since Friday, Saturday, part of Sunday just handling business, and then Monday, Tuesday, and today between both cars I've been working with the dealership service and sales and financing with all of these, you know, with both of my vehicles. So I am like mentally exhausted. I'm sick of numbers right now. I have nothing actually prepared for you guys, so I just thought that I would come on and tell you my story. But I am so exhausted right now. But I do have, I have my car outside, and then also I have a distant family member that passed out of town, and my mom and my aunt wants to go. So now I I haven't done any Teaquilts work since last Thursday, by the way. And so I am going to take my mother and my aunt out of town this weekend. I'm going to do the last hoorah in my Mariner. And then on Monday, when I come back in town, I've got jury duty. So I don't know how long they're going to keep me on jury duty. And I'm hoping that it's 3 days or less, because I have a quilt retreat that starts on Thursday through Sunday of next week. So my life is kind of, I feel like it's chaotic right now. I don't have any control. And so I'm just trying to chill and go with the flow at this point. So that's what's actually been my week. I share everything with you as far as what I'm working on quilt wise, and I have nothing quilt wise to share. So just thought I'd share the saga with being an owner of a vehicle and then purchasing a new vehicle. But yeah, let me see who else has come into the room. I know Eric was the last one. Okay, so we got Leetta Bryant's here. She says, hi, T and everyone. Hi, Leetta. And I just realized that I'm taking my, I agreed to take my mother and aunt out of town, and just seeing Leetta's name, realized I'm supposed to be doing scrap quilting club on Saturday. So I need to make sure that my relief person can do that for me. I need to call her. It's just too much. I can't connect right now. So let's see. June says hi, T and everyone. June Billings. Hi, June. Darlene Farmer is here. She says greetings from Northern Virginia. Hi, Darlene. Let's see. Shirley Rayleigh is here. She says hello, T and everyone. Hi, Shirley. And Christine says congratulations, T, on the new car. Phyllis says, Eric, I bought a lap tray after watching the studio video, loving it. That would be Kevin. Kevin is the one that you saw the lap tray in the video. But that's pretty cool. I haven't gotten one yet, so that's awesome. Michelle Charles is here. She says, hi all from Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia. Welcome. Appreciate you spending some time with us. And then Eric is saying, ooh, I hate all of that. Yes, it was just, everything worked out because I always, if you all can hear my car, I have a Mariner, and I bought a Ford Explorer. A Mariner is a Mercury car, which Mercury and Ford actually used to make Mercury, but in 2010 they stopped producing Mercuries. That was their last year. So I have family that works for Ford, so that's why I always purchase in the Ford lines. It helps to keep my family members employed, as well as you also get family discount. So that's another reason. It eliminates all of the haggling to get a deal on a car, because they will sell them to their employees and their families for the lowest rate that they're going to sell it for, even if you are haggling, unless there's a lot of miles on a car. If it's a demo, then you may do a better job out of the family plan. But for me, it was just easier for me to go in. And also, I've been buying these brand of cars, let's see, since 1995 maybe. And so I've been doing the same credit with Ford Motor Credit, so I don't have to really haggle a whole lot. So everything is okay. It's just the process of everything, and then having them, I needed certain things on the vehicle, so they had to get things to get onto the vehicle. And so it was just all of that and going back and forth. I went up there every day since Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I spent 5 of my 6 days at the dealership. So it's just time consuming and nerve-wracking when you're starting to deal with numbers and stuff. So Phyllis says, T, can you alter the Mariner quilt to fit the new car? You know, it will show where it's been reconnected to other pieces. I would have to probably close in some areas and then open up other areas. I probably would do that, except I need somebody that's going to help me, because when I made that Mariner quilt, I made it all by myself. I did it in 6 weeks from start to finish. I was working full time, so I would come home in the evenings and work until it got dark. And then all weekend, I worked on that card. It's a lot of work, and I don't want to do it just by myself. I would like to have, if somebody's willing to help me, I'm willing to do it. I, right now, don't have the energy. Maybe it's because I'm exhausted that I'm saying this, but I'm just too tired to do a whole nother car quilt from scratch by myself. I need some help. So I don't know. I did today, well, I don't know when the message came in, but it was somebody contacting me that has a Mercury Mariner and was interested in purchasing the car quilt. So that was interesting too. But I thought if I didn't resize it and put on the Explorer, then I would probably cut it up to make other projects. There is one part of the quilt that's more of a memory thing for me. So that is my problem, is one part of the quilt, I don't know if I can let that part go. So I don't know yet. So I'll be thinking about all the options of what can be done. And if I get anybody that's willing to come out to my house and we have a driveway sewing party, I would be more than willing to maybe modify it to fit the new car. And I don't know how much modification. I just know that this car is a whole lot longer than my Mariner. So Eric says, jury duty, just say they guilty. They usually get you out of it. And I try to go in and be honest, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting. And I could have rescheduled, except that I was supposed to, I have a trip scheduled in July, and then I was supposedly having a cruise scheduled to Alaska with a friend that's going from Alaska to Vancouver, Canada area. And she called me last night in the middle of all my frustrations, and I wasn't like really stressed. It's just that it's a lot going on in my head. It's not like it's all anything bad. It's just that I'm busy. I've been busy all of March, April, and then I wasn't expecting my May to be as busy as it was, and it has been because of other opportunities that I took advantage of. So you know, I haven't had any downtime at all. And then my friend calls me and says that the Alaska trip is May 29th through June 2nd or something. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do that. And I just, you know, it's just too much. I just decided, no. I have, you know, I was still working. Today, I just finished up the insurance stuff because we kept switching cars. And then when I finally got the car, we kept switching what was on the car. So I finally got insurance finished today. I still got to do my plates and all of that kind of stuff so I can transfer my plates from my Mariner over to this car, but I'm going to wait till after this trip. So that's the last thing that I got to do. So it's getting less, except that I got jury duty and a retreat, and I have no time to get ready for the retreat. So there's no telling what I'm going to show up to retreat with. And I don't know if you all can see, this is the stuff I just pulled out of my Mariner, cleaning it out when I get ready to sell it. But back here is that backing that I received, and I'm not sure which one of my subscribers right now, because my brain is like lost, who made those squares. I used that square top. They just took like 3.5 or 4.5 inch squares or something, and they sewed them into a quilt top, and I put pieces on the side so it would make a backing. So I have that one ready to be quilted. I don't have the top on it yet. And let's see, I did quilt this one. You can see the back where I've got just the blue fabric. So on that one that's got all the color, I used the remaining of this that I got from a subscriber. I think it was Phyllis, if I'm not mistaken. And so I have already quilted 2 quilts, and so this will make number 3 right here. And so you can see where I've got a string hanging. This is from the back, actually. This fabric actually frays a lot, so it's actually from the back. But you can see from the back I had spirals, but this is how it looks on the quilt top. So this is the diagonal strings, and I've got one more, and then that would be the 4 tops. I was trying to get all 4 of the tops quilted, so when I go on retreat, I can work on the bindings, doing the bindings on these by machine. And I don't know what I'm going to put on for binding. Maybe I'll see if I got enough of this black and maybe do that, or it might just be scrappy binding, whatever I have, but we'll see. So that's what I did get to quilt one of the quilts, but never got to quilt the second quilt. So we share that with you. Let's see. Don't send me blocks for the new car. I don't know if I'm gonna do it yet, and we got a quilt show in September, and I'm just not sure I want to do that. I just scrolled down accidentally and saw that from Phyllis. Not yet, guys. So let's see. And Francesca says she's gonna miss me at Scrap Club. Thank you. Eric is talking to Phyllis. Oh, he was talking, okay. I've already covered the lap tray. Deborah says, never sell a car or a washer and dryer to a family member. Just saying, because when something goes wrong, they'll swear you knew. This is the thing with me. My family member already know I'm very business oriented. So, and they also know that I keep my vehicles in top shape because I go on the highway all the time with doing quilt stuff, doing either pleasure, because I used to travel and do line dancing a lot as well. And I just went to Texas in that car in November. I've been to Chicago since then, been to various parts of Springfield, Illinois 2 or 3 times this time, and I can't even, St. Clair, Missouri a couple of times. So my cars are always in top-notch condition, and that's because I only take my car back to the dealer. I don't let time on the corner work on my car. So they already know that they're getting a good vehicle, and that's why I did not sell my car. I wasn't going to sell my car back to the dealer. I was going to keep it because they never want to give you money on your trades. And for what they were going to give me on my trade, I would just keep my car because I would have used it to keep the main miles off of my other car. But since my niece is in need, I will go ahead and sell to her. So I will do that. And she knows that it's been in the shop. And while it was in the shop, I had some other things fixed. I fixed the alternator, and then I put a new belt on it because I knew I was going to sell it. It has new batteries. It has tires that are less than 2 years old. Has new air filter, so I've already done like the spring stuff that I normally do to it. So it's in top-notch condition. She knows it. So I don't have a problem with that. I think it'll go okay. And if not, everything is a learning experience. Even if I have a bad experience with someone else and then I meet, or I still would give the next person the opportunity, even if it's on the same topic. It just depends, because I feel like you got to give people opportunity to change as well. So, but we'll see. And Darlene says, I was notified about a trip to Egypt, Jordan this July. Not sure if I can get the logistics right in such short notice. Yeah, I knew that we were talking about booking at the last minute. My friend is one of them. She's like a travel guru. If you want to book, say, a cruise to Australia, between Australia and Vancouver, you would pay, I'm just going to guess, like an average rate would be around $1,200 just for the cruise without any taxes or tips or anything. And she has learned that you can schedule at the last minute, and if ships aren't filled, you may not have the best room, but if ships aren't filled, you can get a better rate. And so that $1,200 trip per person is like with tax and with taxes, but not tips. With taxes, or now like $600 per person. And so she had to do that because she has a family of 4. It was just going to be either me by myself or me and my husband. So we didn't have to pay as much. So she's very good at knowing how to get good rates on stuff, but you got to be ready to pay at the last minute. And I just couldn't do a trip in 2 weeks with all this other stuff that's been going on in my life. And I have the time free, but I just chose not to do it because I just didn't want any more stress or me having to do anything to prepare for another trip. So, let's see. Bonita Nance is here. Hi, Bonita. Welcome. She says, hi, Miss T and everyone. Phyllis is laughing out loud at Eric. Okay. Darlene says, girl, I know, not sure what this trip will do to me. Okay, non-quilting heads up. I just learned about a new regulation starting in 2020. Everyone will be required to have a driver's license ID card that has a special federal seal. If you do not have this new ID, you will not be able to travel both internationally and domestically. Check your local DMV. He's correct. Only you don't have to have the federal seal thing if you have your passport, though. But I would recommend having the ID, so that way when you're just traveling from state to state, you don't have to have your passport as well. But if you don't have that driver's license, you're going to have your passport. So I guess while I'm at the place registering my new car, I guess I'll go ahead and get a new driver's license. I just got a new driver's license last year, which lasts for 10 years, 7 years, I think, maybe 7 years. And now I got to go and repay. I just paid last year, so I'm hoping they'll give me some kind of credit. Let's see. So yeah, so that's kind of it. So let's see. I've been asked a couple of questions, but they were kind of like personal items. Somebody wanted to know what kind of embroidery scissors that I was using when I did the embroidery video with the luggage tags. And they were Ginger double curved scissors. So I answered them in an email. And I can't remember if I got asked any other questions. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long week, guys. I know I'm probably looking tired, but I'm trying. And if I got any new quilters in the room, if you got any questions that are quilt related, want some advice, we all will see what we can do to help you. So if you got any questions, go ahead and pop those into the chat box as well. I've kind of told you all what's going on in my next week, so I kind of don't have anything else to share. I'm just looking around to make sure I haven't missed anything. But it's all been car related as far as I'm concerned. I haven't even been eating like I should, like eating on time. Uh-oh. Eric says, in quilt relating news, I got a new machine. Okay, Eric, what you get? You can't just drop it like that. And Cheryl says she got a new machine too. I'm going to come back to your question, Deb. I do see it. But I'm trying to see what machine did Eric buy. He's holding out on us. And Cheryl, you got to share too. Still waiting. Maybe they're typing. Eric says that he got a Juki 5550 industrial single stitched. And that would probably be my next machine that I would get, would probably be something that is related like that. Just notice that my text is showing on the underside, and at least let you read it. My phone loves to play the twisty game. And Cheryl's laughing out loud because she got a Juki TL18QVP. That's pretty cool. They both went and got Jukis. And Phyllis is sharing that the ID is called the Real ID. I didn't know it had a name. So congratulations on your machines, guys. That's pretty cool. He said, Eric says his machine came on a pallet and was heavy. Wow. Oh. So yeah, so let's go back and answer Deb's question. She says, how do you select your borders? Is it better to choose colors that match or contrast? I'm probably going to be the wrong person to answer your question. So if anybody else have any suggestions for how to choose your borders, please go right ahead. For me, as a scrap quilter, I tend to always, or most times, I'm not going to say always, most times I'm just working on things with whatever scraps I have, and then I will decide what border will go with it. So I pull some things out and then I start seeing what matches up. Having my fabric organized really helps with that, and then I'm not also destroying my stash when I put it back. So I have my fabric on boards, on magazine boards, and then I have them pinned on so that they don't come off. So my stacks, if they fall over, or which has never happened because they're stacked very nicely, then I can easily put stuff back. So it's so much easier for me to do fabric tryouts. So I then will pick my borders afterwards. A lot of times when I make scrap quilts, I also make scrap borders, so then it makes it even easier for me to do a border, because if both of them are scrappy, I'm just going to get some contrast to put in between the border and the main part of the quilt. So that's basically how it would work. Sometimes if I'm only working in a particular color palette, it's still scrappy. So let's just say that I'm working with a floral print. I will pull the colors from my scraps that are in the print colors in the floral, and then I can also then just start piecing whatever I want to piece on the inside, and then all of it would match with the floral print or whatever I want to put for a border. I do that sometimes. I don't do that all the time. I have so much fabric that it is very rare that when I make a quilt top that I can't find something to do with the border. And if I don't, then I just go back to option number one and making the border scrappy, because then everything's going to fit. So that's my idea. Let's see if anybody else has any suggestions. Rhonda Barlow is here. She says, hello everyone. For y'all to get the same brand, or they running a sale. Christine says, Teaquilters, please remember to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you, Christine. Appreciate that. And Deb says, thank you so much, Miss T. I feel like I've messed up a few quilt tops with borders. Yeah, so if something is not completely matching, or if you feel like it's not being friendly with what you got on the inside, then just keep using the fabrics that you got on the inside in a scrappy border. The easiest border to make would be piano keys, where you're cutting. You can even do different widths. Most people will do piano keys and make them like 2.5 by 6.5 by 8.5 or whatever number. But you don't have to keep them all 2.5. You can make them all the same width. You can make a string quilt border. You can make 9-patch borders. You can do tumbler borders. What what else have I put in border? I've done so much with borders, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, you can always make a quilt top scrappy. So, or the border of the quilt top scrappy is what I mean. I'm sorry. So they're talking about their machines. I'm going to skip those comments. Phyllis is saying to Janet, I have been machine binding today, first time. She said, thank goodness for the seam ripper. Convinced practice will help me get it down. Thinking about glue basting first, then sewing down seriously. When I do machine binding and I know I'm going to like give them away to charity, I put the binding on the back and then I flip the binding to the front. And then I use either a straight stitch, which is what I mostly use, because I can just get it done, or you can even use some of your decorative stitches to stitch it down. But I mostly just use a straight stitch so I can get it done. And I mostly do that on quilts that I'm actually giving away. So that, and it helps too when you got somebody that's, like if you're making quilts for children, and they're going to be washed a lot, it just makes it easier, so you've got a better edging than hand sewing the back. Teresa says, check with the DMV because my Ohio driver's license has a star on it to signify that it's the real ID. I was told you need to provide 2 forms of ID, driver's license and passport. Will do in CA. Okay, and they might change that, but they had said that you had to have a passport to go state to state, and that wasn't actually true because TSA never even asks for the passports when you're flying if you're not going out the country. So things are just changing. Phil is also reminding people to thumbs up. We got 15 thumbs up and 49 watching. Teresa, I mean, that's Phyllis. She's counting on you guys. June says she's going to try machine binding this time. Thank you, Eric, for helping Deb. He says, I choose borders based on what I have, how much I need, and lastly, what looks good. If I don't have anything, I just go borderless. And that's also an option too. Some scrap quilts don't need a border. Every quilt doesn't need a border, and I think sometimes we just go overkill with borders when sometimes every quilt doesn't need a border. You need to know when it's speaking to you, saying that it doesn't need a border. June says she already did one by machine, so she's correcting. And Deb thanking Eric. That's really sweet. So we got Deborah saying, happy belated Mother's Day to everyone. But every day is Mother's Day. You have that right. It was so funny. My daughter bought a car a few months ago, and she told me, I wish your car had needed to go to the shop 4 months ago. I would have bought your car. But I've been waiting 2 years for her to get a car before I bought a car. It was a plan. Janet says, what is scrim on batting? I got messages coming from Facebook, so I'm gonna ignore those for right now. I don't know. I just saw one word, so something must have come in before I missed, so I'm just gonna ignore that. Okay, scrim on batting. Not all batting has scrim, like polyester. If it has scrim, it must be on the inside because I don't see it, but it's weird. Some cotton battings, not most, but some battings will have a scrim, and what the scrim is kind of protecting and keeping the fibers in place. So I don't know if polyester batting has it or not because I don't really use polyester batting a whole lot. But when you put the batting down, you want to make sure that that scrim side is down and it's needle punched. And I've done a whole video on this, but right now my head is like discombobulated at this point. But it's kind of holding the batting fibers together, and it's kind of like needle punched into like a scrim, which is a film that's kind of like holding the binding when the bat holding the batting when the batting is being created. So that's what scrim is. And there, if you put it in the wrong way on your quilt top, that's when you'll get a lot of fuzzies or poke throughs on the underside of your quilt. So you definitely, if your batting has a scrim, that means it has a right side and a wrong side. So you need to pay attention to that. And also, some battings do not have scrim, and they're really changing a lot. You know, these manufacturers are just coming out with new technology all the time. Rhonda Barlow says, how do you know if it's saying it doesn't need a border? I don't have any quilts here right now. But like sometimes when I do my string quilts, it just depends on the setting. And I think I showed one when I was in Jacksonville, Illinois, when I just did the lecture. But it doesn't, not Jacksonville, Macon County, Illinois, where I was just last week. I showed one, but those quilts are all put up. Just sometimes when you keep trying to audition border and you feel like it's not working, that's the point where you stop. Sometimes we make a quilt and we're trying to make it a particular size, and then but your top is small, and then we just start adding different size borders to get it up to size. And if that's what you do, that's okay. But there are some times when you have a quilt top and it just does not want any borders, and you will know it because it will be very hard for you to decide what kind of border goes on it, and that's going to be cohesive with what's on the inside. So I kind of did like some string blocks that I had put a very thin sashing of black in between the rows. And when I got to the binding, I was trying to figure out what type of binding was I going to put. And it really, not binding, what kind of borders. And really, it didn't want any other borders. It just wanted me to finish off with black binding. Sometimes your binding can be your finishing on your quilt. Sometimes I have my binding blend in. Other times, it's my last frame on the quilt. So it's kind of, you got to just notice, look at things and meditate on it for a few days, and then it'll get easier once you realize your first quilt didn't need a border. Phyllis says she had to provide 2 IDs to get the real ID, so that's good to know. So I guess I'll just go ahead and take my passport out and maybe take one of my utility bills or something. And June Hansen says that she don't have a border on her tumbler, and that's a quilt that wouldn't need a border. You know, some people will add a border to them, but it's one of those quilts that will stand alone without a border as well. So that's a good example, June. Thank you for sharing. We've lost Eric and Cheryl in the comment section. They're all on the machine talk. Janet says, what brand of wool batting do you use? A review on Joanne, I'm sure she says, meaning Joanne, not Joanna, said it shrunk and distorted the quilt. A review on Joanna, maybe that is right, said it shrunk and distorted the quilt. When you're using battings, you are going to have some cotton batting, wool batting, you're going to have some percent of shrinkage. The fabric manufacturers, there could be things, when people are telling you things, you can't take everything that somebody tell you at face value, because there are certain characteristics that you don't know whether they did correct or not. All batting has, you must quilt within this amount of inches. So like Warm and Natural, it has, you can quilt up to 8 inches apart. That means that batting is not going to shrink as much as a batting that's telling you you need to quilt up to 1 inch apart. So if you don't follow the batting manufacturer's instructions or recommendations, then when you wash that quilt, yes, it's going to not behave because you didn't follow the recommendation. So when somebody tell me that something happened, I test it out and do it for myself. So what I would do is I would cut like 20-inch squares, and then I would cut some batting in a top, and then I would also go ahead and quilt those, and I would quilt them all the same. So just use a straight line grid of quilting. You don't have to do anything fancy because it's a test. And then you can toss those into the washing machine. You want to measure them before you wash them, and then you want to measure them after you wash. Because remember, when you're quilting, you're also going to have some shrinkage from your project. So you need to check it for yourself. And then also, if you're using making a wall hanger, or you're going to enter a quilt into a quilt show, you need to block that quilt so that those corners and everything is nice and even. So there are so many different reasons why that quilt may have been cattywampus or shrunk. So you need to do your own homework on that. I just used brand Quilter's Dreams wool batting with Warm and Natural on my quilt top. I love it. It's the heaviest quilt I ever had, but I love that quilt. Phyllis is laughing. She's saying industrial machines are too fast for her slow brain. And that's why I want one, because there are certain times when I'm like string piecing and all of that, and none of my current machines are really fast enough to just shoot those pieces through. And industrial machines can knock that stuff out so fast. June says, if you use army blankets for in between your quilts, won't the army blankets shrink and look funny? Army blankets are made out of wool, so it's just like using a wool batting. So again, you're going to have to do your research and see how far apart you should be stitching on wool batting. But there are a lot of people out that go out searching thrift stores looking for army blankets, or going to army surplus stores because they say they're cheaper than buying wool batting. I have not personally done it, so I can't be the expert or advise you on that. I can just tell you what I've been told by other quilters who have beautiful work. And I think I even read in some of the descriptions at some of the quilt shows where people were doing that. So, very weird. Gotta remember though, most quilts in the quilt shows are kind of quilted to death. So, they're kind of quilted within 1/4 of an inch, which is the old recommendations for 100% cotton that didn't have the scrim. When you don't have scrim, you're mostly quilting closer together because you're actually anchoring that batting down. And Teresa's asking, with army blankets, would you need to pre-shrink? If I was using an army blanket, since it's a blanket and not a piece of batting, then I would wash that blanket and dry it, just so we're clear. You're welcome, June. So, we've been on 45 minutes. If anybody else got any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat box. Still got 15 more minutes. And then I can figure out my meal for this evening and decide if I'm going to go to bed early or not. By the way, I'll be in Homewood, Alabama, which is a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama, this weekend, just so you'll know. Eric wants to know if anybody ever tried using flannel instead of batting. There is like, well, no, not. Only time I've used flannel as a batting is when I was doing it on clothing and I liked it. And I also did it in a rag quilt because I wanted to put something in between the two fibers and not have it be batting. I was using 2 pieces of flannel for front and back on a rag quilt, and so I used a thinner, cheaper, the real cheap flannel for my batting layer, and it just makes it a little bit softer. So I have done it on a jacket, a quilted jacket, and it just keeps it so that it's drapable and not just something that's stiff hanging off your body. But that's the only time I've done flannel as a batting. And of course, I pre-washed the flannel on everything before using it. Darlene says meal. She says almost 9 p.m. I know. But when you got my life and you wake up and you dealing, this week has been awful with me eating. I've been eating late, and it's because of my schedule. I start out early thinking I'm going to get such and such done, and then I start getting the phone calls, and you need to come do this, you need to do that. And my first meal today was at 3 o'clock. So I'm starving again. And when I cooked my 3 o'clock meal, I made sure I had enough for my next meal. Eric says, wow, how long is that drive? That's an 8-hour drive, Eric, each way. And then he's saying he heard people use flannel on denim quilts. I've heard of people using flannel on the back of the denim piece if they're ragging and they don't put anything in the middle. I have a denim quilt that I think I use denim on the back. I mean, I use flannel on the back, and I even still put warm and natural batting in the middle. So it's super heavy. I had made it because I thought maybe I might use it as a picnic quilt, so I wanted it a little bit more substance in it in the event we were on some dewy grass or something. It wouldn't get wet as fast. Janet says, flannel is what I use in baby blankets all the time. Made them so soft. Penny says, hi everyone. Dropped in late, but nice to be here. I used flannel on a t-shirt quilt, and it was very heavy quilt. Yes. And June is saying she used flannel with denim, and it works good. I know, my life, I have one whole agenda when I start my week off. And I bet you by the end of the week, I haven't done 50% of what's on my agenda because other stuff keeps falling into my agenda. But I try. I try. Judy is here. She says, I use flannel as backing. It feels so woozy. Love it. And I actually, Joann's has very limited amount of 108-inch wide back flannel, and I bought 2 pieces at 2 yards, and I said I was going to put them on the back of some charity quilts at some point, just so I can see what it is and how it handles before, because it's not like a top quality flannel like if you get one of the name brand fabric manufacturers. So I just want to try it out, but I've already pre-washed them, but I haven't used them yet. And I think we are done. If Cheryl and Eric are through talking about their machines. June says, on Sunday, I make to-do lists for the week, and sometimes I actually get some of it done, laughing out loud. And I used to put mine on a refrigerator, so every time I walk past it, it kind of reminds me that I have to do something. So maybe I'll do that instead of just leaving it at my desk area. I'll put it on the refrigerator because sometimes things happen and I don't even get over here to the computer area. So that's a good idea to put it somewhere else. Eric's asking me, when are you going to get your machine, T? Not for a while. I'm at the point where I want to reorganize my sewing studio, my actual room, the yellow and blue room. And when I put that video up showing you all my studio, I had one of my viewers who seems to really know about space. and she had some suggestions. And so when I'm thinking about like going back to that video and reading all her comments and see if any of that, what she said, would actually work for me, because I felt like when I read her comments, she was very thorough. She had a really big paragraph. So I'm thinking about maybe switching some of that around, because I'm not very good with spatial orientation. I love the people who created trailer homes. The fact that you can walk into a 3-bedroom trailer home that looks like a rectangular box outside, and then you've got all of this room divisions and curving and how much space. It looks huge on the inside, but it's not that huge looking on the outside. So I don't have that talent. So she sounds like she really knew what she was talking about as far as designing spaces. So I'm going to go read that. That's one of the things I want to do. I don't know if I will do it, but I'm not buying anything major until I decide what to do with my room. Judy says, I saw a video of an edge joining presser foot that was supposed to make binding easier. It has a blade coming down on the bottom. I haven't seen that, or if I have, I've completely forgotten about it. It could have been a while ago. Cheryl says, I was just like super curious about his industrial adventures, rolling on the floor laughing. Hunter is here, says, yay, finally made it live. Hi, T. And Eric, thank you so much for coming. Elena says, have a great evening. Thanks again, T. This was fun. Thank you, Elena, for coming. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Will I be here next week? Yes, if the civil court system let me come home. I will be here next Wednesday. People are talking about the Quilting Marine. I haven't been to the channel, but they say he hasn't been on. Thank you so much, Hunter. Cheryl says, have a great week, everybody. People are saying good night. So, gotta go to work. Love you, T. All of you all. Bye. Thank you so much. And Eric is crazy. He's talking to Cheryl, but this one I will read. He said, the first thing I did was feed some fabric in and floored the foot pedal. Big mistake. I'm thinking the machine was about to blow up or something. No, he says, nearly sewed my arm to the fabric. That is funny. But, okay, thank you, Tracy, for the update. She says that he's fine. He's just been working. So I'm going to go ahead and end this live chat here. And thank you all so much for coming on and chat with me today, especially without a topic. I know you all like for me to have topics sometimes, but sometimes it's just not possible, and I just rather come on and see if anybody have any questions that they need answered. So before you leave or after you leave this video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Thank you all for reminding me and reminding the viewers to do that. And I appreciate you all, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm going to